Alright, gather round folks, cause I've got a story that'll make your skin crawl. It's about a school trip to the city museum that turned into something straight out of a horror flick. Trust me, you're gonna want to hear this. It all started on a bright and sunny morning. My classmates and I were packed like sardines onto a school bus, buzzing with excitement for our day-long excursion to the historical museum downtown. Now, I've never been a huge fan of museums. I mean, who wants to spend hours staring at dusty old artifacts? But hey, a day out of class is a day well spent, right? As we pulled up to the museum, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of anticipation. The building loomed before us, all grand and imposing, like something out of a history book. We piled out of the bus, the chatter of my classmates echoing off the stone walls as we made our way inside. The museum itself was massive, with hallways stretching in every direction and exhibits that seemed to go on forever. My friends and I split up, each determined to see as much as we could before the day was over. We wandered through galleries filled with ancient artifacts, marveling at the wonders of civilizations long gone. From intricate pottery to towering statues, the museum held a treasure trove of history just waiting to be discovered. But then, things took a turn for the strange. We stumbled upon a section of the museum dedicated to local folklore and legends, and let me tell you, it was like stepping into another world. The lights were dim, casting eerie shadows on the walls, and the air was thick with a sense of unease. My friends and I exchanged nervous glances as we made our way deeper into the exhibit, the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end. The displays were downright creepy, old photographs of people with hollow eyes, faded newspaper clippings detailing mysterious disappearances, and artifacts that looked like they belonged in a haunted house rather than a museum. It was like something out of a nightmare. As we explored further, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. It was as if the eyes of the portraits were following our every move, and the shadows seemed to shift and dance in the corners of the room. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get any weirder, they did. The lights started flickering, casting the room into a strobe-like effect, and a chill ran down my spine. My friends and I exchanged panicked glances, the tension in the air palpable. And then, without warning, the ground began to shake beneath our feet. I stumbled backwards, my heart pounding in my chest as I tried to make sense of what was happening. It felt like the entire museum was coming alive, like the walls themselves were closing in on us. We tried to run, to find our way out of the chaos unfolding around us, but it was like we were trapped in a nightmare. The ground continued to shake, and the lights flickered wildly as if possessed by some unseen force. Just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, they did. The walls began to groan and creak, and I swear I could hear whispers echoing through the halls. My friends and I clung to each other, our fear mounting with each passing second. It was like we were trapped in a horror movie, with no way out and no one to save us. And then, as suddenly as it had started, it stopped. The shaking ceased, the lights returned to normal, and the whispers faded away into silence. We stumbled out of the exhibit, shaken but unharmed, and made our way back to the bus in stunned silence. We didn't speak a word the entire ride home, each lost in our own thoughts and trying to make sense of what had just happened. To this day, I still don't know what caused the chaos in that museum. Maybe it was just a freak accident, or maybe there really was something supernatural at play. All I know is that it's a day I'll never forget, and one that still haunts my dreams. So, there you have it, the harrowing tale of the school trip that turned into a nightmare. If you ever find yourself in a museum late at night, just remember, sometimes, the past has a way of coming back to haunt you.
All right, buckle up, Redditors, because I've got a tale that'll make your skin crawl. It all started on a rainy Saturday afternoon when I found myself with nothing to do. Figured I'd head downtown to check out this new museum that had just opened up. Now, I've always been a bit of a history buff, so the idea of spending the day surrounded by ancient artifacts sounded like a pretty good time. Little did I know I was about to stumble into a nightmare. The lobby of the museum was deserted when I arrived, which struck me as a bit odd for a weekend. But hey, I wasn't about to complain about having the place to myself. I made my way to the ticket counter, paid my admission fee, and ventured into the museum's dimly lit halls. At first, everything seemed normal enough. I wandered through the exhibits, marveling at the ancient artifacts and reading the plaques that accompanied them. But as I delved deeper into the museum's labyrinthine corridors, I started to feel a sense of unease creeping over me. It was like I was being watched, you know? Every time I glanced over my shoulder, I half expected to see someone or something lurking in the shadows. But every time I looked, there was nothing there. Just empty halls stretching out before me. I tried to shake off the feeling and focus on the exhibits, but it just wouldn't go away. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get any weirder, they did. I stumbled upon a section of the museum that seemed different. The air felt heavier somehow, and the exhibits were darker and more sinister than anything I'd seen before. There were masks with empty eye sockets staring back at me, ancient weapons stained with what looked like blood, and statues that seemed to follow me with their gaze as I walked by. I tried to tell myself it was all just my imagination running wild, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. And then, out of nowhere, the lights started flickering, casting eerie shadows across the walls. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest as a sense of dread washed over me. I tried to tell myself it was just a power outage or something, but part of me knew better. Something was seriously wrong in that museum, and I was about to find out what. I crept forward, my footsteps echoing through the silent halls as I made my way towards the source of the flickering lights. And that's when I saw her, a woman standing at the end of the hallway, bathed in shadow. She was dressed in tattered rags, her hair hanging in greasy strands around her face. But it was her eyes that stopped me dead in my tracks. They were wild, like those of a trapped animal, and they seemed to pierce right through me. I wanted to run, to get the heck out of there before things got any weirder. But something compelled me to stay, to confront whatever was lurking in the darkness. I approached the woman cautiously, my heart pounding in my chest as I tried to make sense of what I was seeing. She didn't move or speak, just stood there watching me with those empty eyes. And then, without warning, she lunged forward, her hands outstretched as if to grab me. I stumbled backwards, my heart racing as I scrambled to get away. I sprinted through the museum, my breath coming in ragged gasps as I fled from the nightmare unfolding around me. The lights flickered and dimmed, casting the halls into darkness as I raced towards the exit. I burst through the doors and into the cool night air, my heart still pounding in my chest as I stumbled onto the sidewalk. I didn't stop running until I was blocks away from that cursed museum, the memory of what I'd seen burning in my mind like a brand. To this day, I still can't explain what happened in that museum. Maybe it was just my imagination running wild, or maybe I stumbled into something I wasn't supposed to see. Either way, I'm staying far away from that place, and you should too.
Alright, let's dive into this tale that'll send shivers down your spine. It all started on a dreary autumn afternoon, when boredom nudged me to seek solace in the quiet halls of a museum. Nestled in the heart of the city, it beckoned with promises of ancient wonders and hidden secrets. Although museums weren't usually my thing, I thought a dose of culture might be just what I needed. Little did I know, I was about to step into a world where reality and the unknown collided. The museum's exterior was a grandiose display of architectural marvel, its aged stone facade bearing the weight of centuries of history. As I stepped through the entrance, the scent of ancient artifacts and polished wood greeted me, sending a shiver down my spine. There was an eerie stillness in the air, almost as if the walls themselves were holding their breath, waiting. I wandered through the dimly lit corridors, my footsteps echoing against the marble floors. Each exhibit seemed to hold its own secrets, whispering tales of bygone eras and long-forgotten civilizations. But as I ventured deeper into the museum's depths, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It was subtle at first, just a prickling sensation at the back of my neck. But as I meandered through the maze of artifacts, the feeling intensified, like invisible eyes were boring into my very soul. I tried to brush it off as mere paranoia, but the sensation persisted, growing stronger with each passing moment. I found myself drawn to a particular exhibit tucked away in a secluded corner of the museum. The artifacts on display were unlike anything I'd ever seen before, ancient relics adorned with intricate carvings and cryptic symbols. As I studied them, I couldn't shake the feeling that they were watching me, their silent whispers echoing in the recesses of my mind. And then, without warning, the lights began to flicker, casting dancing shadows across the walls. My heart leaped into my throat as a chill swept through the air, sending goosebumps racing across my skin. I glanced around, half expecting to see someone, or something, lurking in the darkness. But there was nothing. Just the empty expanse of the museum's halls, bathed in an eerie half-light. I tried to calm my racing heartbeat, to convince myself that it was just a glitch in the electrical system. But deep down, I knew better. As I continued to explore, the feeling of being watched intensified, the whispers growing louder and more insistent with each passing moment. I could almost make out words now, faint and indistinct, like echoes from another time. And then, from the shadows, emerged a figure, a woman cloaked in darkness, her features obscured by the dim light. I froze, my breath catching in my throat as she approached, her footsteps echoing against the marble floors. I wanted to run, to flee from whatever malevolent force had taken hold of the museum. But my feet remained rooted to the spot, paralyzed by fear and uncertainty. The woman drew closer, her presence suffusing the air with a palpable sense of dread. And then, with a voice like silk and shadows, she spoke, a single word that sent chills racing down my spine. Leave. I didn't need to be told twice. With a final glance over my shoulder, I turned and fled, the echoes of her words following me through the empty halls. To this day, I can't shake the memory of that encounter. Was it a trick of the light, a figment of my imagination? Or did I truly stumble upon something beyond comprehension lurking within the museum's depths? I may never know for sure, but one thing's for certain, I won't be returning anytime soon.